Hi, this is Peter Purvis. You're listening to the Sirens of Audio. Hope you enjoy what you're going to hear.
One day, you will subscribe. Yes, you will subscribe. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just click the notification bell and write us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts.
G'day, audiophiles. This is the Sirens of Audio, the show that explores the universe of Doctor Who in the audio medium. I'm Dwayne.
G'day, Dwayne, and g'day, audiophiles. And I'm going to go to the moon, and I'm going to take a spoon, but I'm not going to take a knife.
Oh, very good, Philip, very good. If I'd have known you were going to do that, I would have prepared something earlier too, but I didn't. Because as you can see behind me, it's not the usual background. I don't have any background at all. I'm sitting in someone's little caravan, so I've actually hit the road now. So we are podcasting from on the road. It's a very exciting time. We'll see how this works out.
We will see how it goes, but it's looking good so far. I was very pink, but aside from that, that's fine.
Yeah, well, it's a friend of ours. It is not my caravan. My caravan has got the rest of my family sleeping in it at the moment. So I'm just using this one for the moment. I'm still in Tasmania for another week, but very soon I will be over on the mainland of Australia and, exploring the western, this huge half of Australia is just one state, Western Australia. So I'll be over there for most of the next 8 months or so. So that's very exciting stuff. But we're going to try and keep doing the podcast throughout. We're going to have a little break over the summer at some stage, Philip. I know that much, but for the rest of the time, we're going to keep on going. We're going to keep on soldiering on because we love what we do, don't we?
We do, and all our audience can get to enjoy all the wildlife and the birds that are making some lovely sounds behind you at the moment.
Oh, you can hear them? Excellent. There will be much more to come, I can assure you of that. All right, today is we're still in our 60th anniversary series of the podcast, and today is another shorter episode. We're going to celebrate the return of a 60s character. That is, the Toymaker is returning. So the story that he appeared in was originally... I beg your pardon?
We think the Toymaker's returning. You know, I was so skeptical for so long.
If you don't believe it by now,
I'm still being slightly skeptical. I don't believe anything till it's on the screen, but we think the Toymaker's coming back. And you thought it for a long time, and I was being so negative about it all. And then it was announced that he was, and you were right, probably. But I'm still going to hold on with maybe not. Maybe we'll see something else will happen on the 9th. It's the 9th of December. Which one's the Toymaker episode?
I think it would be.
It would
be the 9th. It would be the 9th of December.
My birthday. Doctor Who, new Doctor Who, my birthday. I'm so excited.
There you go. Now, with the return of this character, we decided to choose a story that Big Finish have done. And they have brought the Toymaker back on several occasions. The first time, of course, was with the Sixth Doctor and Perry in The Nightmare Fair. And that was obviously, of course, the lost story from season 23, the original season 23. There was also another Toymaker story called The Magic Mousetrap, which was written by Matthew Sweet. And even though David Bailey was cast as the Toymaker in The Nightmare Fair, they did not have anyone appear specifically as the Toymaker in The Magic Mousetrap. And it's been so long since I've heard it, I think I do need to listen to it again, Philip.
I don't know
what you recall from that story.
Oh, no, I don't remember it much at all.
It's a Seventh Doctor Ace and Hex story, I believe. So yeah, we should revisit that at some stage. It would be fun because I remember the cliffhanger where the Toymaker was revealed in that story, and I was very, very surprised that it was him. It caught me right off guard. But the story we're going to discuss briefly today is a Companion Chronicles, which you love these Companion Chronicles, Philip. I know you do.
I do.
And this one is not only a celebration of the Toymaker, but it's also a celebration of India Fisher and the Eighth Doctor and that period of Doctor Who as the Eighth Doctor and Charley, in a wonderful, wonderful two-hander, which we'll talk about in a moment in a little bit more detail. But before we do that, Philip, do you know what?
No, what, Dwayne?
I know I look like I'm down a rabbit hole right now, but I want you to jump in and join me. So let's go.
Let's go.
All right. Thanks for joining me in this little rabbit hole. And I want to talk about the Toymaker, Philip. No, of course you don't.
No.
I want to talk about the Toymaker and maybe the original TV series and what your thoughts were on the story called The Celestial Toymaker, which featured the first appearance of this character played by Michael Gough. And do you recall your first experience of this story?
I do. It would have been when I got the Lost in... Oh, actually, I don't think it was the Lost in Time boxes, or was it on VHS before then? I remember...
I don't think it was on VHS before.
No, I get the feeling it may have been in the Lost in Time box set when that came out, the DVD box set Lost in Time with all the orphan episodes.
Yeah.
And I think I may have seen a really scratchy copy, copy after copy after copy on VHS beforehand. Yeah, maybe, but certainly my strongest memory would be as a part of the Lost in Time box set.
Okay. And so your first experience of the story was just that single episode, was it? So not the story.
So that's tell of us. I would have read the book before then. So when the Target book came out, I would have read the Target book, and I probably would have. I'm trying to think whether the BBC audio had come out before then. It probably had, and so I probably wasn't. And you know what? I think probably the BBC audio was my first real understanding of the whole show as such. So I think as I listened to that the first time, that would have been my first full go through of the Celestial Toymaker.
And did you have any feelings about the story one way or another? Did it have a
dreadful
appeal to you? Or?
It was dreadful. It was boring as silly games doing nothing. It's interesting. I mean, I had of course read about it being one of the best stories ever, because I forget which Doctor Who book that would have been. I think it was the Making of Doctor Who, but something. But fan received wisdom was the fact that this was this amazing, brilliant, stunning story. And then as I listened to it through the first time, I went, "Oh, gosh, that's pretty nothing." I mean, there's huge passages of no dialogue whatsoever. The Doctor's hardly in it. Michael Gough's performance seems okay, but a bit over the top, which isn't necessarily bad. Maybe if you could see it, it may be improved, because I think sometimes when you don't see an actor's performance, you sometimes lose it. I mean, he has got a great voice, and he's a pretty good actor in other stuff I've seen him in. But I was very underwhelmed by the show and just thought it just totally overrated. But what was your impression? How did you first experience it?
My first sort of conscious recognition of the story would have been through one of the Peter Haining books. Whichever one came out first. Was it a celebration?
A celebration for the 20th anniversary.
The Key to Time.
So no, celebration came out first.
Right. So it would have been in that where I read about it, and I was intrigued. I was intrigued by the title. I was intrigued by the concept, because that third season of Doctor Who was absolutely a mystery to me. Actually, most of black and white Doctor Who at that stage was a mystery. It was different to your normal run-of-the-mill Monster of the Week type stories. It was very experimental, as was much of the first Doctor era, actually. And so it always intrigued me. And I think there was a fanzine. Was it the fanzine of the Doctor Who Appreciation Society? Was that called the Celestial Toy Room? Is it still called the Celestial Toy Room?
I think it might have just put it called the Toy Room now.
Right.
I think, but I'm not sure. I've not seen that for a long time. Are there still fanzines out there? Who still produces print? There's a few things that come out.
Data Extract is still going.
Yeah. Down to 4 issues. It used to be 12 every month, but down to 4 issues a year. But it's still going. True.
Yeah.
That's the Doctor Who Club of Australia one for people not in Australia.
So there was a point where I wrote to the ABC and I asked if they could please screen that story.
Really?
And of course, I didn't get a response, because that was the one that intrigued me. I think there was an image of Michael Gough in the full outfit in that Doctor Who celebration, and I was just the costume really got me.
The one with the Trilogic, holding a piece of the Trilogic puzzle.
Perhaps that was it. I seem to recall looking at sad clown faces as well in certain images, and clowns are scary. There's no doubt about it. In the right context, they can be very scary. Whether or not they're scary in this story is another question altogether. So yeah, that was my first conscious awareness of the story. Then I was able to, of course, because I was in fandom in the early 90s, I was able to get one of those copies of a bootleg copy and have a look at it then, and I really enjoyed it. I was disappointed with, I mean, the game sequences went on a bit, and I was also disappointed with the Doctor being missing for most of it. Little did I know at the time, I think that the Doctor was missing from pretty much all of the story. And I guess that was part of the reason this story was written, was I think at the time they were thinking of recasting the Doctor at the end of this story.
There had been plans to bring back a different, the plan to bring back a different actor as the Doctor at the end of it.
Yes, so that would have been an intriguing way to go about it. I'm glad they didn't.
No, we wouldn't have had regeneration if they'd done that, and we would have just had another old Doctor who. So the show probably would have died a couple of years after this if they'd done that.
Yeah, very possibly would have. So yeah, and of course when I got the DVD too, Lost in Time, that was great. The BBC audio, very very hard audio to listen to because lots of game playing and things going on. I think it's a very visual story, but I wonder if it's one of those stories that if we actually see it, it will improve on the seeing of it. Because even the reconstructions don't do it too much justice either.
Well, there's so little footage of it. It's all just stock images and stock films. But the last episode's not very good. The one we do have. But that being said, Enemy of the World, we definitely had the worst episode of that for years. And when you actually see that episode in its context, it's much better. So, yeah, okay, I'm prepared. But when the last episode seemed like a dud, I am concerned.
Well, I didn't mind it. I thought it ended rather quickly and confusingly, but the performance of Michael Gough was sensational. I thought.
I still think it's a weird person to come back,
and I still find it a bit of a hard slog to get through. But I do wonder if, I mean, it has been announced that it's being animated, isn't it?
It has.
Next one after the Underwater Menace, I think. So, which makes sense if they're bringing the Toymaker back for the anniversary season. So, what do you think the appeal is for? You know
what I was really hoping for. I was really hoping it'd been found, and the reason why they'll bring the Toymaker back was because they'd actually found the episode.
Yeah,
and they were going to keep it back and surprise us all by releasing a new found episode just before they brought out the episode.
Yeah.
So, but once
maybe
again,
they still will.
Maybe they still will. I'm still hopeful there's lost episodes out there. Well, I know there's lost episodes out there. I'm still hoping that those people who are holding to lost episodes might hand them back.
Yeah.
Or that they don't just die and they get scrapped. Because I think the worst case scenario will be that there's all these older collectors who are going to drop dead and the entire collection will end up in a skip bin down the dump. There's lots of Doctor Who gone with us, which is, I suspect we've already lost some that way.
Yeah.
But maybe. I mean, have we actually seen pictures of the animation, or have they just announced it?
No pictures of the animation that I'm aware of.
See, maybe they found it. Maybe we're about to get an announcement that it's been found and it's going to be released.
Yeah,
I hope so. Please, some more missing episodes.
Yeah, I will take even the worst of the fan wisdom judged stories over not seeing any at all. So
exactly, I'd take anything at all.
What do you think is the appeal for Russell T Davies in bringing this character back? Why do you think he's chosen the Toymaker as kind of the lead character in this set of stories?
I'm not 100% sure why Russell's chosen to be the Toymaker back, but Neil Patrick Harris is an amazing actor, and Russell has worked with him. I know Russell's friends with Neil Patrick Harris. He worked in the It's a Sin documentary drama with him. So maybe Russell's just looking for a part to bring back a big name. Remember, it's going to Disney, and so they want to have a bit more of an international appeal. Neil Patrick Harris is a huge overseas star in terms of America because of How I Met Your Mom. He's big on Broadway, so he's a stunning actor, because anyone who's good on Broadway has to be a stunning actor. He's known now in Great Britain. Maybe Russell's going, okay, who do we have? Because the anniversary, he wanted someone to bring back. As you look through the whole canon of 60s people, who is it to bring back who's dead? The Maverick Chens or the Toby's Vaughns or who is human who survived? Scaramouth might be good to bring back. Who knows? But obviously he decided that the Toymaker offers a huge scale, eternal, powerful companion or nemesis for the Doctor. And if you're trying to bring back Doctor Who, you want strong, powerful nemesis. And the Toymaker should have worked in so many ways. And I guess maybe the original show was limited by budget and ideas, but actually bringing back a powerful eternal in today's sense, maybe it's a good idea. And other production teams have thought he's good to bring back. John Nathan Turner tried to bring him back. Big Finish has brought him back. People have realised that this is a character with a lot more depth and a lot more potential. And Russell's always ready to grab any potential, anything. So he's happy to use cartoon characters. He's happy to bring back the 60s. I'm really looking forward to seeing. It's going to be my little birthday treat. New Doctor Who released on my birthday and being able to view it on my birthday. It's so exciting. I'm excited.
Excellent. And maybe Russell was either intrigued by the character, or he's a little bit older than us, so maybe he saw it and has that memory and wanted to bring it back and give the character the story he deserves. So, I think it's going to be very interesting what comes out of this. So I'm excited, and I like the character, and I'm not totally against the original television story either. So I don't think it's. Yes, I admit that it's a hard slog, and you've got to be in the right frame of mind, but I do enjoy it as well. So there you go. Let's jump on up out of the rabbit hole, and we'll talk about Doctor Who, The Companion Chronicles, Solitaire, which is a 8th Doctor story featuring India Fisher as Charley and David Baillie as the Toymaker. So before we start talking about it, I'll read a synopsis. What if there were a game you didn't know you were playing, where you didn't know the aim and you hadn't seen the rules? Charley Pollard arrives in a toy shop, but she doesn't know where she is or even who she is. The mysterious owner wants to play games. He's the celestial Toymaker, and he has already defeated the Doctor, whose essence is hidden inside a ventriloquist doll. The Doctor is gone, the TARDIS is lost, but the game is only just beginning.
Coming soon from Big Finish Productions. Doctor Who, The Companion Chronicles. Solitaire.
Hello? Is anyone there? My name is Charley Pollard. I don't know where I am.
Good afternoon.
I
Would you like to buy something?
This is a toy shop.
A doll, perhaps?
They're so lifelike.
Aren't they?
Oh, this one's got a drawstring.
Time interval complete. Yay.
If the game is playing by the rules, then it's hardly going to demand you identify an object you've no knowledge of in order to win.
If this shop keeps shrinking, you die as well. Sorry I'm not going to stay, but I think I've run out of patience for games. You'll forgive me if I leave early.
But of course.
Thank you, and good night.
Good afternoon.
No!
The Doctor always prized the ingenuity of his travelling companions. And then you killed him.
Yes, I did, didn't I? Shouldn't I be more upset?
The facts and the trivia. Solitaire by John Dorney. Number 4.12 in the Companion Chronicles range. This is back when the Companion Chronicles were coming out monthly, so this was the December release. Except it wasn't. Starring India Fisher as Charley Pollard and David Baillie as the Toymaker. recorded on the 15th of January 2010 and released in June the same year. Directed by Nicholas Briggs, music and sound design by Toby Robinson, and the script editor was Jacqueline Rayner. This is the second time that David Baillie has played the Toymaker. The first was in The Nightmare Fair, one of the Lost Stories. David Baillie spells his name without any capital letters by preference. Many people assume that this has been a mistake on the cover or the website. If you go to Big Finish, you'll see David Baillie, no capitals. This is the first 8th Doctor Companion Chronicle, and probably set at the end of the second-year run of Paul McGann's stories. But it came out after India Fisher had finished up her main run as companion with both McGann and Colin Baker. The cover by Alex Mallinson has a picture of a real ventriloquist dummy, which he had made for this very cover, and was now let me try it again. The cover. I'm going to do that. The cover by Alex Mallinson has a picture of the real ventriloquist dummy, which he had made. It sat at the Big Finish office for a number of years before falling off a shelf and being broken. The Toymaker mentions a number of moments from McGann's second series: Orson Welles from The Invaders of Mars, Edith Thompson from The Chimes of Midnight, the Solarians from Embrace the Darkness, and the Nyman from Seasons of Fear. This was the first Doctor Who play to be released that was written by John Dorney. He had previously written the Companion Chronicles Echoes of Grey, also for the Companion Chronicles range, which was released later, as well as a number of stories from the Tomorrow People. And that's the facts and the trivia.
Thank you very much, Philip. And what an amazing script from John Dorney. It's no wonder this is one of his early ones, if he's pumping out stories like this, that he's still going strong to this day. And I thought of you immediately as I was listening to this. And, you know, I've not heard all the Companion Chronicles, so but I do love them when I go to them. And this was different in a way from the other Companion Chronicles, because it's more of a play. It's more of a two-handed play that you could see on stage. So I thought of you with your love of theatre. This would be beautifully done in the theatre, and it's so easy to listen to, and so it's such a great story. Really, really interesting story. What were your first thoughts when you heard this story for the first time?
Oh, it's hard to remember when it was a long time ago when I heard it as the first time. As you know, India Fisher has always been a favourite, and Charley's been a favourite companion. So I love the fact it was featuring her. David Baillie, I didn't actually mention the facts in the trivia. David Baillie had appeared in TV Doctor Who. He was Dask in The Robots of Death, which of course is one of my favourite Doctor Who stories. And so, well, spoilers. Yes, he was also Taron Capel. There's a few spoilers there. And unfortunately, since passed away. Actually, he died a couple of years ago. I think that the two of them, it's interesting. Both of them have such rich RP voices, and it's one of the. I mean, nowadays, you know, there's a lot more modern voices happening on Big Finish, and a lot more regional voices happening, which is a good thing to happen. But there's still something about two really rich, very unique voices that is one of the things that I think the British have always done so well. You know, these amazingly rich, silky voices that have so much expression, so much depth to the actual voice. And I think, you know, India and David together just make this beautiful duo, and then combine that with a script which is really clever and tight, and it's beautifully scripted. It's interesting you say it would work as a play. In some ways it would. In other ways it actually would be hard as a play, because it requires, although it's kind of one set, it's lots of rooms and changing rooms and moving to other rooms, which is the same room, getting smaller.
The drinking rooms, I thought, would be hard.
Shrinking rooms. It would be interesting to know how they visualize it on a stage. But it is still, nevertheless, this very strong play, this slow release story. So it's happening bit by bit. India has, Charley has to discover who she is, what her purpose is. Those, Paul McGann being in it as a dummy is a hilarious way to get around the fact that you haven't got the actor there. I do wonder whether John Dorney, we should ask him whether John Dorney had watched, there's an Angel episode, Buffy and Angel. Angel just was a spin-off. There's an Angel episode where Angel gets turned into a Muppet. And so there's a few Muppets around the place. And I do wonder a bit, there's some moments in this which remind me a bit of that episode. So I do wonder whether John had actually seen that episode, because to actually turn the Doctor into a ventriloquist dummy is just such a novel idea. But it's a way of actually being able to use Charlie's voice to voice the Doctor, which is a clever way of getting around Paul McGann and not even paying for an episode. So everything's been really well thought through. As you say, it's the reason I love Companion Chronicles is because every author, every playwright gets to play around with the canvas in a unique way. And so this isn't the only two-hander that there is. Other authors have done the same thing. And so you're never quite sure from month to month what you're going to get in terms of, one or two cast members, because I think it's basically, sometimes you might get a third one if the director chimes in. Lisa Bauman used to chime in occasionally when she directed. You always get this very, very limited cast, and you've got this creative way of telling stories. And as you say, in this way, it's a two-hander. It could easily fit into the main range without any worries at all. It feels like a main range story. It has got that feel of the second season. I think the second season has so much joy and so much fun being had. And so it really captures that. So, listening to this again was just an absolute pleasure. And, reminded me of how much I enjoyed it the first time.
I love the way that the action just starts immediately. There's no long setup or anything like that. Charlie just walks into the shop and they're in.
Bell rings, she's there. Yep.
Yeah, and it just starts and it just doesn't stop, but it never gets boring, and that's what I love about great two-handers, that you just hang on to every single word that they say. It's great that the character kind of starts off not knowing who she is or where she is, and gradually that knowledge comes more and more. So the first, and there's actually more than just the two characters as well, because you've got the character of the game as well that's there in the background. That's quite scary.
Growing, so that whole game becomes more and more scary as the play goes on, and takes on a bigger role and function as the play goes on.
Yeah, and by the end of it is virtually the point of the whole plot revolves around this game. And so the first episode, it is split into two episodes, as all the Companion Chronicles are split into 25-minute episodes or half-hour episodes. And the first episode, the Toymaker's in control, and it's nice to see that in the second episode you can see the Toymaker losing control and finally not being so omnipotent as he has a tendency to be, and to see him with that little bit of concern in his voice that he's losing the game, and it's good that it's someone other than the Doctor too, and it just shows the strength of Charlie as a character, that she can take on this pretty massive character, and take it on without the Doctor. So she's a pretty powerful force herself, is Charlie.
It's interesting, actually. I mean, John Dorney has done very well in terms of how do you make it an audio play about playing games? Because generally speaking, playing games requires visual or tactile need to actually be part of it. And so the fact that John's found ways of getting around that, the main game running through a lot of it is a verbal game, in terms of, it's a parlor game that he gives clues and you've got to try and work out the answer. So that's part of the joy of it in terms of this verbal game. But the other games, in terms of getting through doors and those sort of things, it's explained in such a way that it's visual enough for you to know what's going on. The sound design actually promotes it. So rather than rolling dice, because let's face it, a game of snakes and ladders would have been pretty boring on audio, John's found some really clever ways of playing games, which as an audio audience, you feel part of. And you don't even realize the fact of actually, normally with a game, it wouldn't be much use on audio, but in this case, it actually works really well.
I love the way it ends on a kind of a cliffhanger as well, where you kind of aren't, well, that it's going to be okay, but it doesn't give you that full resolution. So you're still thinking in your mind, I wonder exactly what happens after the credits roll. So I think that's
it allows the playfulness of having the Eighth Doctor be able to have a conversation with Charlie without employing Paul McGann. It's a clever way of doing it.
Because throughout the whole story, he's never returned to being the Doctor. It ends, and he's still the ventriloquist dummy.
Yeah.
So I think that's interesting.
Sorry about all the spoilers, people. I hope you've bothered to listen to this first. Once again, I think you can probably get it for free on Spotify. So you should have listened to it before now.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a couple of dollars. It's cheap. A couple of £1.
This is Nick Briggs's first directorial role for a Companion Chronicles. Do you think that's his friendship with India prompted this choice of director?
I was wondering whether it would be more because of his connection with David Bailey.
Okay.
And maybe bringing a very established Doctor Who, somebody being a Doctor Who, an established actor on board, may have been just the fact that Nick stepped in to do it for that reason. Because often with some very established British actors, Nick ends up directing initially because while they get used to Big Finish. Though David Bailey had already appeared in
Nightmare Fair.
Nightmare Fair. I'm just having a look to see who that was directed by, because I'm curious to see. That's released the year before. It was released the year before, and that was directed by John Ainsworth. No, so it wasn't by Nick. So it may just been Lisa Bauman wasn't available. As I said, 12 plays. By this stage, Companion Chronicles is doing 12 plays a year. Lisa was directing the bulk of those, but it's hard work to be directing all the time. And also, if Lisa wants to take a couple of weeks holiday off, that probably blows at least 1 month of Companion Chronicles out. So maybe she was taking a month off. So she's allowed a holiday now and then.
All right then.
Yeah, but it's interesting that Nick did it. But it would have been curious if had Lisa done it, because I suspect there would have been. Man, there's not a big music score anyway. But I just wonder whether there would have been whether there had been more pauses. I don't know. I don't know how it would have been directed differently. It doesn't come across as a lot of Nick's stuff is very fast paced and very action often, and his direction often has a very strong energy behind it all. This is very laid. This is very laid back and very
in a way
evenly paced.
In another way, for as far as Companion Chronicles go, it is fast paced, because normally you get the breaks with Companion Chronicles of a bit of narration here and there, breaking up the dialogue. Here it is just dialogue. There is no narration at all.
Or dialogue, or in real time.
Yeah.
No movement to anywhere else.
And Nick did have a history at that stage of doing some really good stuff that was in real time. So if you think of the Cybermen series and things like that, or at least recording in real time, he was doing that kind of thing too. So interesting stuff. But I did note that the music was minimal, and I thought, well, this could be directed by Lisa Bauman too. The way it sounded, it was kind of similar.
And even the sing song with the voices, because the dialogue is so rich. That's in many ways this is the perfect play for Lisa to direct. As I said, who knows what happened? But maybe it directed itself, which is why. Actually, I should say that. I'm sure Nick did an awful lot behind it. But I love it. I think it's it is a perfect example of the Companion Chronicles. Is it my? No, I don't know. I don't want to say what my favorite is in Companion Chronicles. There's too many good ones.
I thought it was the Jigsaw War.
You know what?
That
was last week. I change all the time because there's so many inventive, clever things that they do, and this is a particularly exciting period of Companion Chronicles for me when I sort of discovered them. I sort of discovered them after you know what I'm like. I'm very, very slow at getting a new series because I know it's going to cost me a fortune when I do. And so when the Companion Chronicles first started coming out, I sort of avoided them for the first or second year. And so I think it was the third year when I sort of got into them big time, started subscribing, and then went back to listen to the first 2 seasons, which was only 8 episodes. There was only 4 in season 1 and 4 in season 2. I think maybe 6 in season 2. And then it went basically monthly for a couple of years.
No, it was 4, and then
4. It was 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just remember having this big rush of listening to Companion Chronicles, catching up, and even though I know where I was when I listened to this the first time, because I was driving to Marking, because I was doing So I taught for the whole day, and I was doing basic skills testing, which is something that in New South Wales kids have to do in year 3, 5, 7, and 9. And I was doing basic skills marking for English papers. And so every afternoon I had to drive from work to the marking centre, which was about an hour away. And I remember listening to this one on the way to marking and being so impressed by it, I listened to it all the way home again. So I actually listened to it twice in one day because I enjoyed it so much.
Solitaire was, I think, the one where it all just came together. It was a very fortuitous thing. I'm a massive sort of board gamer, so the idea of writing for the Celestial Toymaker kind of absolutely fitted into what I wanted to do really well. Because I'd also thought a lot about games and about how there was like a particular thing I'd done on tour where we'd been playing a game of Trivial Pursuit, and I found it really fascinating watching how it affected different people and how I reacted and how other people. There was a woman there, a woman in the cast who was very determined that she was the smartest person in the room because she was a professor of something or other at some sort of university and hadn't clocked that one of the other actors was, an Oxford-educated historian who just happened to go, well, I'll just do Trivial Pursuit. No, I'll just become an actor. And we're playing this game of Trivial Pursuit. And the Oxford-educated one wasn't giving too much of a toss about it. It was like giving clues to everyone, which would annoy me because I think, no, I want to get this right. I don't want clues. I want to know it. And then, because there's that point we go, no, I want to play the game properly. I don't see the point of doing it if we don't play it properly, which is my kind of vibe of it. And then the woman who wanted to be the smartest person and getting terribly annoyed about any like minor mistake or whatever, and kind of there was a huge argument about whether kabuki theatre was a form of dance or a form of theatre, and it's just this bit of going, oh god, we're literally playing Trivial Pursuit, and so it made me think a lot about how games work, and because I got a playwriting background and all of that, the idea of doing a two-hander between the two of them absolutely fired my imagination, and I think meant that's why I think that one kind of was a bit lightning in the bottle, really, of just being the combination of the right person and the right idea at the same time.
Have we said all we want to say about this story?
Yeah, I think we've mentioned the cast. The sound design's great. John Dorney has just done such an amazing job. Like early on, this is still early on in his writing. His Tomorrow People's scripts are great too. So yeah, John was just writing so well, and I mean, I love the cover. Yeah. There's nothing I would pick on. So yeah, if anyone's got something that they want to criticize about it, I'd love to hear what other people's opinions are in the comments below. So,
well, speaking of criticism, I've heard some criticism that people, well, it's not criticism, it's just personal taste, I think, that they don't like the narration style of your typical Companion Chronicle. Well, if that's you and you don't like that narration between dialogue, definitely get this. Because it is not that. It is something pretty unique in the Companion Chronicles range. So yeah, I can highly recommend that for anyone who wants something that's almost like, well, it's full cast.
Yeah. It's a full cast production. You could slot this easily into season 2 of the McGann series, which to me that those 6 episodes are my favorite McGann run. But this would slot in perfectly well between any story, and I'd love it.
Probably towards the end, because they refer to a lot of those episodes within this.
Well, it does, but the Toymaker knows about them. She doesn't, because she's lost her memory. So
okay, well,
it could be forecasting what's about to come.
Coming soon from Big Finish Productions, Doctor Who, The Magic Mousetrap.
All 7 tiles, a K on a triple word score, and a 50-point bonus!
What's extraordinary about Holbrook Sanatorium?
Oh, it's famous. If you need to expectorate into a kidney dish, then Holbrook is the place to do it.
What happened?
Something involving the medical director and several thousand bonds.
Sounds more like a kill than a cure.
It snuffed out Dr. Black like a threepenny candle.
Don't go in there, Doctor, for the sake of this mountain and everybody on it. Don't go in there!
I'm sorry, Ludo. It's the only way.
You'll regret it, Doctor!
I feel like a rat in a maze, Queenie. Every time I come within sniffing distance of a bit of cheese, someone clobbers me.
Or electrifies you.
Or whacks a shot of morphine into my bloodstream. Do people really come here to recuperate?
I take it you have recovered now, Doctor, after your accident?
Which one? I'm having them early.
Ace? Is this what it's like being the Doctor?
What do you mean?
You know, Being the one who knows what's going on, but can't say what it is. Being the one with the master plan, and not know whether it's going to work out or send the universe down the plug hole.
Do you think, Dr. Comfort, that there might be a rodent in your medicine cabinet?
Rats love Switzerland. All the cheese, you know.
And you lay poison for them, do you?
Yes, we do.
They're clever little creatures, rats. They learn to ignore the bait. They learn that behind the wainscot there's no such thing as a free lunch. They learn to bite back.
We require uproar, singing and dancing, noise, anything that will stop us from thinking straight.
Listen here, Doctor. Harry was taking potshots at the plaster with his old service revolver.
Why?
Trying to hit the thing behind the wall.
Did he get it?
We all have to do a turn. Tonight, in the ballroom.
It's a talent competition.
A concert party.
In these circumstances? With something nasty in the wainscot and patients running around with guns?
It's time for me to introduce you to the golden couple who will act as our compares for tonight. You've read about them in the press. It's the Honourable Mr. and Mrs. Bunty and Bobo Stetterton!
Can I be of any help, Mrs. Glasscock?
Oh, no, thank you. I was just...
Running out of the front door in the middle of Miss Luna's act?
What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Should I keep quiet or open the box?
Oh, keep quiet, please.
Open the box! Thank you, Miss Luna.
You don't know what you're doing, Doctor. Oh, Lord, it's happening. I'm remembering him. I'm finally remembering him.
Allow me to introduce an old enemy.
On that note, it's probably time for us to talk about something we've been listening to, apart from this, a recommendation. Do you have something, Philip, that you can recommend? Because I know for a fact, well and truly for a fact, that it is your turn this time.
I'm going to recommend something that I finished listening to just recently, probably last week, which is the latest in the Gallifrey War Room series. This one was called Maneuvers. So there's 4 really great stories in this. The first one and the fourth one are both by Catherine Armitage, our friend. Catherine, who is just writing superbly, and every time she writes, gets better and better. They're both fairly action-packed, and they are linked together, those 2 stories. There's a theme that runs throughout the whole 4. And then you've got Remnants by Georgia Cook and Transference by Fio Trethewey. Fio's written under a previous name, lots of other stuff, but he's a really great writer. There's a lot of emotion in these stories. Sean Carlson does one of the most powerful, emotive acting jobs ever. He just broke my heart because of what happens in one of the stories in terms of people connected to him and what they go through and his reaction to that. Louise is just hard. It's a really hard box set to listen to in some ways because it is emotionally draining. So the whole Time War is hard. Gallifrey's been a bit hard. There's very little lightness and relax in this. So it is a hard slog to listen to, but not because it's not good. It is stunningly written. It is a great storyline. There are some politics that happens towards the end which just make me cringe. But all the best Gallifrey. So in fact, when Gallifrey first started, it was supposed to be political. And it was politics and Dallas together and all sorts of soapy style stuff. But politics was an important part. And a lot of the Gallifrey stuff that's been coming out recently hasn't had the politics. It's had the wars, had the stories. Whereas there's some really nasty manipulation politically in this, which just made me so angry, but was so clever. Catherine Armitage did that at the end. So if you like a bit of politics and some nasty politics, this is also for you. But also there's some great stories, some great stuff with Daleks. There's just, very interesting what's going on, but some really awful characters in the Gallifreyans themselves. So it is leading up to the end of time and the point where the Doctor feels Gallifrey needs to be destroyed because you are starting to see how bad the war is making the Time Lords. And so there's still hope there, but it's really, really good listen. Have a listen. What about you, Dwayne? What are you listening to?
Well, I'm going to recommend a movie.
Oh, okay.
It has something to do with listening because it was a movie that contains one line of dialogue. And I thought that was fascinating to start with. But because we were leaving the house, I wanted to use the sound bar and listen to something really loud and scary. We wanted to watch a scary movie. So I chose a movie called No One Can Save You Now. I don't know if you've heard of that. But I just looked up what scary movies were there in 2023, and I wanted some jump scares because I always think it's funny when I can get my wife to jump through the roof. And so this is it's classed as a horror, but it's more of a science fiction because it's an alien invasion story. And it's about a young girl who lives alone, has had some kind of tragedy in her past, and is being shunned by the rest of her community, who is facing an attack from these aliens trying to get into her house. And so she's fighting against them the whole way through. So you've got aliens walking all over the roof, and that sounded really good through the sound bar. But I thought it was really fascinating use of the medium, because obviously with a movie you're expecting dialogue, aren't you? But this had no dialogue in it, and I think it just made it more powerful. And I love when mediums do something that's different, that's something experimental. And that's what I love about what Big Finish does, is when they do experimental things within the audio medium, just like this movie was doing something very experimental within the visual medium, the audio visual medium, really. So yeah, I can recommend that. Look, seek it out. No One Can Save You Now. You like a good alien invasion story? That's one to check out. It's cool.
Okay, well, thanks for that one. Good stuff.
All right. So thank you very much, Philip, for your company. It's been lovely to see you.
And love to see you too, Dwayne.
And we've got some great stuff coming up. So we're looking forward to sharing that with you. The anniversary specials on television are getting ever closer. So stick with us. We'll still have content coming out during those times, and we'll be talking about them too. So until then, we'll catch you all next time.
Bye, everyone.
This has been the Sirens of Audio episode 178, The Toymaker, looking back at the Doctor Who Companion Chronicles Solitaire, with your hosts Philip Edney and Dwayne Bunny. Original theme music composed by Joe Kramer. More about us from sirensofaudio.com. Comment below to let us know what you thought of the episode, or you can contact us via email at sirensofaudio@gmail.com or via any one of our socials @AudioSirens. Thanks for listening, audiophiles. We'll hear you next time.